Hello, I'm Matt Kane, and I'm an engineer on the core team at Gatsby. For the last few months, I've been working on incremental builds, and today I'm going to talk about what we've built and give a peek at what's coming next. Now, the goal of the Gatsby project has always been to be fast. It's been super fast in the browser because it compiles your site ahead of time into a progressive web app. That's how most sites can get Lighthouse scores in the 90s or higher right out of the box. In the olden days, like last year, this could be at the expense of slow build times. For a moderately large site, say a few thousand pages, or a smaller one with lots of images, the first build could take 20 minutes or more, which is a problem if your build provider times out after 15 minutes. Even cached builds could take 10 minutes or more in some cases. That's not the case now. 2020 is the year of build performance for Gatsby. We're making builds faster for everyone, improving the speed of every part of the process. We've made huge progress this year. Some sites have seen results that are hard to believe. We're talking sites that took hours to build, now building in a few minutes. In January, we launched Builds in Gatsby Cloud, which is the fastest way to build a Gatsby site. We can do this because our whole infrastructure is designed around building Gatsby sites. The example I gave before might now take 5 to 10 minutes for a first build and 2 minutes for a cached build. That said, whenever you made a change, we'd still need to rebuild the whole site. Even with a lot of caching, that's going to take several minutes for a medium-large site, and for really big sites it could take a lot more. But in April, everything changed when we launched Incremental Builds. This has been our most eagerly awaited feature. And the results are incredible. For the first time, you can build a Gatsby site in under 5 seconds for data changes, even with sites of over 5,000 pages. Here's an example you can find on Will It Build of a contentful site with 8,000 pages building in 4 seconds. If you go to willit.build, you can see some more examples with other data sources. So now I'm going to show you one of the things we used when developing incremental builds, which helped us to get it so fast. On a small site, it's hard to see these kind of bottlenecks as they're hidden behind fixed build costs. So we decided we needed a massive site to uncover these. We started with a 5,000 page contentful site, but that was already so fast on Gatsby Cloud that it was hard to see small improvements. So with some help from Datto, we built a site with 100,000 pages, which we call the 100K site. This is the default portfolio starter, just a lot bigger. When we started, it took an hour to build. We used the 100K site a lot when developing incremental builds, because it let us find all of the edge cases that were hard to spot with a smaller site. So, the 100K site helped us to get most sites building in under 5 seconds, but the site itself was still taking several minutes to build. This is obviously a lot faster than before. Remember, it took over an hour when we started, and was now taking just a few minutes, but it's still not fast enough for us. The goal we set ourselves was that all supported sites should build data changes in 10 seconds or less, and ideally under 5. And I'm pleased to say now that we've done that, and I want to show you how. So what we've got here is a locally running copy of the Incremental Builds environment. I've already done the initial first build, so we don't need to wait around for that. And it's sitting here ready now for an incremental update. So this is the site. You can see here that's 100,000 pages of lorem ipsum Markdown. And we are going to edit that one. If we go over to the Datto site, we can edit this one live. So I'll edit the title because that's going to be an easy thing to see. So hello Gatsby Days. Now, when I save this, I've got a webhook set up using ngrok that comes through to my local machine. So it's going to be a live webhook trigger coming through from Datto. So I hit save. Let's quickly tab back. You can see the webhook's already come through and it's running straight through the state machine. You can see them going there, and now it's built 4 files. So that is the index page and the actual page itself that was edited, plus their associated page data files. So Let's have a look at the site, reload it. There we go. Hello Gatsby Days. So that was a super quick update on a 100,000 page site. And it took about 5 or 10 seconds. So when a build is faster than the time it takes to switch tabs, I think the name incremental doesn't really do it justice. That's why I like to call these instant builds. So we learned a lot from the 100K site. We found bugs that caused things to run when they weren't needed, or which nobody had seen because it only took 10 seconds on those sites. Now on the 100K site, these were costing 5 or 10 minutes, which is a lot harder to miss. Once we fixed these bugs, we were left with some lessons and some problems to solve. First, we had so many race conditions you'd not believe it. The Gatsby build process is complicated, with lots of steps and watchers and asynchronous events, and these can be hard to keep coordinated. On smaller sites, things just worked, but when sites get really big, these things can get out of sync. Secondly, because the onCreatePages step runs in full for every build and is custom written for each site, it's really hard to speed up. So unless we change this, there would be a 30 to 40 second block of time that we could never avoid when building the 100K site, this would be affecting all sites to some extent. So how do we solve this? We've been working on 2 important changes to the Gatsby build process that will let large sites build in under 5 seconds. These are changes to the open source project and will benefit everyone, even if they're not using incremental builds in Gatsby Cloud. We solved the race condition problem by using Xstate to build a state machine to manage the build process. This will help us improve builds for everyone and avoid lots of subtle bugs. So on the screen here, you can see an early prototype of a plugin that I've been working on that gives you a live visualization of the build state as well. But you don't need to worry about this. Just know that this fixes a lot of subtle bugs and edge cases that will be causing errors for lots of sites, not just those using incremental builds. We're also working on simpler ways to create pages that are easier to do incrementally. Now, this is a work in progress, and this is not the way that this will be when it's finished. If you saw Blaine's demo this morning of unified routes, you can see a more fully featured implementation. But these changes are coming soon and will mean you can build massive sites like these in under 5 seconds in Gatsby Cloud. And these changes are all open source. So while they won't give you 5-second builds unless you're on Gatsby Cloud, it will improve builds for every site and help avoid bugs. So I've spoken about how we're making incremental builds faster, but that only helps if your build is actually incremental. So far, this is just for data changes in supported CMSs. Any code changes trigger a full build. We're now working to roll them out to cover more build types and more data sources. So today we define a code change as any change that comes from GitHub, which will always trigger a full build. But this covers actual code, but also any changes to files in the repo, such as Markdown or MDX. However, although right now we treat all of these as code changes, they of course aren't always actual changes to code. There are also data changes that come from Git, and particularly Markdown. So ideally, for files such as Markdown, we should be able to just rebuild the same page, just like in our supported CMSs. And with code changes, we can rebuild the pages that use just the affected code. But wait, there's more. MDX is both data and code, so we can't assume that Markdown is just data. It might be code too. Now, we love MDX, but it does mess with some of our assumptions of what is data and what is code. So we already support data changes coming from a CMS, but we don't currently support code changes or data changes from Git, and we also don't support weird stuff. But that's not good enough, is it? So coming soon, as well as supporting incremental builds of massive sites like the 100K site I shared just now, we'll be supporting incremental code changes. We'll also be supporting incremental changes to data in the file system, like Markdown, but also others like JSON and CSV. And finally, we will of course be supporting MDX because it's awesome and we use it a lot. So I hope you enjoyed my tour of incremental builds. Give it a try today at gatsbyjs.com and look out for the exciting improvements coming soon. I'm a Scorbic on Twitter, GitHub and most other places, so follow me for updates whenever I'm allowed to share them.